Nuair lí mé sé orm éistí mé leis túra mé sláine agus túraí mé an orgó ba saoil fada sanna ige. In anam an ahar san bhic agus an spirit néamh. Grasta ar Dearly Christ agus grá Jés cumann an spirit néamh libh go léir. Stí ever maidin bhra agus fáilte. Spis taí le chéad tíbal bard an tíirnach an cuimhle céile an dónach seo, an céad dónach den Carius. I welcome you to our Mass this morning as we come to pray together, to reflect and to be mindful of those whom we carry in our hearts on this first Sunday of Lent. I welcome Wincher, Martin Willie, Mark Donach and Furbo, Kate, Quiblicon, Lena. Welcome the family of Martin. Those of you who have travelled the distance, you're most welcome. Also, family of Porrick Naughton, Craig Inzerwan, 20th anniversary. Ar dús tugam is ar bechi chun cuimhne onas gimiúsin an tafran na Kilúra. Adhuim de le cútach agus tíos bhráir an gafeici me go trom les mínus le bríthir le gníomh agus le fallí. Trí mo chorthéin, trí mo bhór chorthéin. Ar an ábhar sin mar is séróg, ar na hanglas ar na néfas ar se bhráthir a ghuiir mahan cna tíir na tíir. Gynnéine dí le cútach trocra oring go bhaithí sé ar bechi dún agus go dróirí sé go na bethe sírí sin. I hear the gentle a Christ gentle I hear the gentle I hear the gentle agus ar talamh síocháin ar the fáirte moramid trú, airimid trú, tugamid lorgwid, gamid buchas leatas ocht the word glóra. Here na ddírí na bhlachas a dhé ar le cútaí, a here na Vicky sa Christ, a here na Díon J. Mach an ahar. Tás a hogus peci an down gentrócra orin, tás a hogus peci an down glach na nawibin. Tás a here yesh nahar gentrócra orin, or is trúan is nefa, is trúan is tírna, is trúan is roardi sa Christ, Brenish spirit neve and Amen agus squeamish. Yeah, ahar agus muidir Genoan Carius Quidulin Brie a wanch as wash agus a sherry the vic as groshe the nanachtal orin in our sail shene arm with a hogat three Christ art jerna. Kedlektas Genesis Krishis we in Conra Idergia agus Wichna. The first reading talks about the covenant that God makes made with the people, type of an agreement, and not only with the people, but also with the birds of the air, the wild beasts, very much like the spirit of Laudato Si, the encyclical as Pope Francis brought out on climate change and respect for the earth. Dorelect as literally Padder, Christ came to lead us to God and Kedliacht.
Shluchtas Lauer Genesis. Dúirt Gia le Noah agus lena chlánhach. Bránigi, tá mé ag déanam mawara go letsa agus le de chlucht de dhia, thoma le sin, agus le chuile créator beo atá de hanta, na héanacha na behi, agus chuile envi daun atá de hanta, gahadánig amachas an arc. Tá mé ag déanam mawara go let, go bratha ríis nach méfar an díle chuile hort beo, agus nach mé ein díle go deo ríis John leis an daunish gris. Dúirt Gia, seo an cothra an sacrú atá mé ag déanam idir mé héin agus tú héin, agus chuile créator beo dá bhfuil I de hanta. Feadh chuile glún beo. Tá mo bháha corthas na néalta agam, agus be sé na cothra an sacrú idir mé héin agus an daun. Nuair a hiúrtha mé scamal os cin na talún, agus go mé an bá cethe le feiceals na néalta. Cuimhnóid mé an bharaga idir mé héin agus tú héin, agus chuile créator beo dá bhharan. Agus na dhéanfar díle déna forlacha go deo a ríist le chuile créator beo as gris. sin bríthir dé. Freagar a sam, cuimhní de hrócra a hiarna. A hiarna, chur an ólas mé faoi de bhealaí, mún dom de chosáin, chur bóthir de éireanna mé agus mún mé, mar is tusa a dhí mo chlánaíthir. Freagra, cuimhní de hrócra a hiarna. Cuimhní de hrócra a hiarna, agus de grá daingan atá an riamh. De réir de grá daingan cuimhní orm, as 8 chomach is a táú a hiarna. Freagra, cuimhní de hrócra a hiarna. Is maith agus is díracha an tíarna, mar sin spáinan sé an cosán dó siúd a héanaar stré. Treanann sé an té atá úl sa mealach ceart, múnan sé a bhealaí den dream atá úl. Freagra, cuimhní de hrócra a hiarna. An dar a lecht, slucht as litir níomh pedar. Fuair Christ a héin bás an téan úr bháin in eall fecaí, an sé atá ceart son an dream nach bhfuil, le muid a thuirt go dia. Curúchan bás é sa golan, ach rinneú beo é sa spirit. Agus sa riocht sin, thuaigh sé agus dógur sé an scéal go na spirit a bhí an éhan. Spirit iad seo a bhí asúil san am a chuí háart, nuair a bhí dia ag fannacht go faideach le aimsir nóa, an ad as bhí an arca dionna nuair a sábhailú beagán, sin le rá ochtar mar gheall ar an isce. Sábhailt a bhí an seo rih ré don bhaiste. Sábhail an baiste sibin is. Ní níochan salachar don cholan atá an, ach iiritas ar dhí son cuintí glán tre eisiéirí Isa Christ. Tá sésin in is imithe is deas na flachis, agus é ar dheasláh dé, agus eingel, údráis agus cóchtaí curtha faoin na cheannas. Sin bríthir dé. As an bhéirsa. Ní ar rán amháin a mar in an duine a th chuile ocail a hagan a spéal dé.
In the gospel passage we hear Jesus going into the desert to fast. Ground Chirna live. An slachtas an soisce nef at the rare nef Marcus. An sin an buinta hamán an spirit is amach sa bhíntas bhí sé sa bhíntas ar fed gás góir lá agus Satan i chur cathú a bhí sé an éanach leis na hanmhethe alta agus bhí na hangil ar freistal ar. Is tar éis go óna bheith tócha tháinig Isa go Galilee ag fógairt deis géile dé agus a rá. Tá tam ar fáil agus tá riamh dé tacha congruach déanaigi aithrí agus creidigi sa soscéil dé. Fáilte rís an maidin seo agus muis takeí de céile. I welcome you again. And mar dúirt mé tús an Carius, the beginning of Lent, and an seamlis beginning eisteach bhí agan ar an cédaoin le chuir luachra ar éidean na déine, the very unusual ritual of putting ashes on foreheads. And a sort of a ritual that's not New Testament by any means. We're told in the Old Testament, return to me with all your hearts, with fasting and weeping and mourning. So it's a ritual that would have been there from ancient times. And in some ways to test ourselves, see if we're strong in spirit, and be aware of the demons that might come our way. And before the Mass last Wednesday morning, we were a bit compromised with Valentine's Day on the same day. Ash Wednesday and Valentine's, they don't rhyme. I was given a rose that morning, a chocolate rose. The first demon came my way. To eat or not to eat? That was the question. I won't tell you how I got on. But in a serious vein, We're still stuck in the first chapter of Mark's Gospel. The last few Sundays have taken passages from Mark's Gospel, chapter 1. It's a very short account of the fasting, of going into the desert. We're told that the Spirit led him into the desert for a purpose. He was about to start his public ministry. And in some ways, I think, to try and test himself, to see would he be strong in spirit and be able to carry out what was called or required of him. As we know from the end of that ministry, it was very challenging and very, very difficult. And to be totally focused, to go in with the proper disposition, and hence to going into the desert to pray and to fast. Do so in that proper spirit. Some of the readings during Wednesday and Thursday, we're told that last Friday, the reading from Isaiah, when you fast, do not quarrel or fight or strike with a wicked fist. Don't take your fasting out on other people. Do it for the proper reason. And as I mentioned, the going into the wilderness, in Jesus' case, we're told some of the readings we had, the blessing of the ashes and that, to take up battle against spiritual evils. Spiritual evils, I suppose, are that type of temptations that come our way, to try to get us maybe look for an easy way out when we've got to do something that's of significance or importance. That we may be armed with the weapons of self-restraint. Again, that inner strength to resist. Come with minds made pure. Cultivate inner strength. These were all passages from the sermon on the day. They practiced voluntary self-denial in order to sharpen their appetite for God. And St. Augustine speaks of cleansing our hearts to free us for holy desire. That in some ways we might clear our minds and keep that focus of what we think is God's call for us. So it was with a purpose, not having anything to do with losing weight or calories or anything like that, but in order to be strong within in spirit. I suppose for similar reasons, traditions around the world, they have that same type of a ritual of the fasting. Those of you who've gone to Loch Derg for a few days will know the challenges that go with that and the temptations. Oddly enough, I think anyone who goes, we find that sometimes we spend most of our time talking about food when it's not available, and time seems to go much longer than we would wish it to be normally. So one of the readings on the Thursday of last week from Deuteronomy, I set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life so that you and your descendants may live. We can see that reflected every day, newspaper, in the news, that choosing between life and death, and how so much misery and destruction can be inflicted on people because of that zest for power or whatever. And those who try to sort of go the way of peace and justice. That's reflected again in the reading during the week on Thursday, where it talks about the type of fast I want is, let us loose the bonds of injustice, undo the thongs of the yoke, let the oppressed go free. Share your bread with the hungry, bring the homeless poor into your house. That brings to mind that annual Lenten fast we have, our collection we have through the box, and also by envelope for Trócaire, where we're asked to be mindful of those who might be in certain situations that are desperate, and what they have is very little. We can be supportive to them. The purpose of Lent to prepare us for a more effective involvement in our vocation as Christians, to remind us of that call of God to try to be wholesome and holy in our lives. So, I don't know how you're doing with your fasting, and if you got through Ash Wednesday and Valentine's Day and remained loyal to the call, you've done very well. Bain Creagan. Trejum Nenji Wan on Tire the Google. And Sharon Wani, please, and work. Geo Yea, Sars a Hollis, Fair and take in us, not Yarnos, that is substance lesion ahar. Three Dorilla needle be, or a son in Kinedanis, or a slana her, Riksha. Color cooked and spirit navy, Marin and Wide America's Loch, not a Dana. Kessler and Grisha, freshener, our son, done in ship Porsche, which Peter was out lack away. That's your interest, Lauder in a script, was Susser Nav. Tana here, Yeshanahar, Jukshan Hoof, with Lord of Rahus, who church yogas or Maro, if I yell and a react. Such a spirit nave, Chirnagus Brunt on the Baha, a Ted Lucian on that house on walk. Though Iro was floor, Marinish in the house, Lesh Mock, is allowed to Nefaja. Chedson in English Nef by Catholic Espalda, had been obtained by the one, Comanches the Becky. Thomas Sola Heshton Morals. Amen. Ahar and Afish, Nishlan or Nachaniaka, 3 Korea Star Journal.
Given Fobble. Agus Mudja a Tossimach Arashter and Charis. Guiamage our son Sheachan, a Wintris, agus Knasif, agus Jerry le Foregan a Fudden Down, a Hirna Ashley. Guiamage our son our Bapa Princes, na Haspig agus in Clare Lug. Guinesh Jofferle na Gluach on Ahri in our seal, Crejiv sa Sushgale, agus ve Creole Flahul in our Gorson, a Hirna Ashley.
Hirna be Kansas agus Ashley.
Guiamage our son the Bocht, Dini gan Gijan, gan Bia, gan Ober, Dini an Immel, agus fri vrú Curami an Thiel. Gwy hisiad Cower agus Cotam the Féine in a good driblogy, is Ganyaro siad Gra agus Gras the J, Gargopa a Goni, a Hirna Ashley.
A Hirna be Kansas.
Cowrie a Hirna le Dini atá China láhar na Húda, agus gan na Curamori atá ag torch Aradoib, tor Mishnach agus Solasdoib, a Hirna Ashley.
A Hirna be Kansas agus Ashley.
Guimage ar Sundini ar Fudden Down at Hag Fall Ray le Haya Sacrament an Vashja an Karshksha. Gnyarti Gia ag Rejiv, is Gajurha Shin, Jiru ar Dochlan ar Mashja Hain, a Hirna Ashley.
Hirna be Kansas agus Ashley.
Is Guimage ar son ar Garja is an Realta at ar Slina Firinja, Galunri an Salasbon arho, a Hirna Ashley.
Hirna be Kansas agus Ashley. Agus ar son ar Reacher atá Slina Firinja. Padgeras Kudikan Yenif in Yush, son Martin Willie Macdonach, a Furbo, Curtin the Hamisha, and Kate Kudikan Blina, Agus Parik Nachton, a Crick Indruan. Padgera Freshener son Palator Furbo, Rouge, Alex and the Valdi, Faravi, Lonley, Spirits, Agus Le Mission of Freshen. Hannig an Bosser sa Jira. Cuimhnú a muintir tá Gríbrist in the Lehan the show, a Hirna Ashlyn.
A Hirna be Kansas agus Ashley.
Ar nav Glachlin ar Nachaniacha, 3 Korea Star Journal.
Amen.
Squivige brought a Glachy and Tarla Cook to the Schneebert Wemsha, Agus Websha. Amen. Queer in Irunt, which hearna done a Brunton Shatam, which go frol, the Gwidian Ebert Shalin, or Sarah Afro, Shine, or Mivahogot, 3 Christ or Jerna. Scron Cherna live, Togi Ebo Grihan Orja. Scamish Buikas slash Cherna Shia. His cartux is cordon Gejevnas Queeras as Tarvo Buikas, the Gaulat, the Heroes, Gnacha, Chihirna, Arnefa, Yelakut, the Hiri, 3 Christ or Jerna. Johnny took a look to the rain vech trúga blin le sacrament in a casca. Le hairi crias let lana agna agus spragan tú iad con javoda agus dírca bresha don go hiora kilura rún jívra acanúna iad con glánbara gros de tlanje. Imma sin brelis na hengel agus leis na hardangel leis na trón agus leis na cheernas. Agus les glúte iad an vlachis canamid dúnda do glór á rá gan stad. Here na Jesus nef go fear noch is tú tabar na nef de goléir. Nevi mar sin impumi jort na brant na shell of drucht the spirit could gdient vid even our gore corpus full of our journeys of Christ. Dan is sin fásti on hen agus revisha who sus kana gesta. Hog she an Taran go she buikes lad frish an Taran agus hodi eskipul ara blachigi as higi ile esha. Or say shama harpa harfer borsan. An gwi chénatration topit ho sin calish go se buchas lad ríis agus hódi eskipul I ora lachigi as oligi leistisha or si shall calish me quid falla. Full no him the heri dort for your war son agus as son kin a dana come matches the becky. Jedigi esha I gwivna ormsa. Agus fogrumish rún jiver an krejef. The Russian here the G equivalent donor wash of us or Shari Christ of all much which are on the Bahagas Kalish and Klana has come which weakest let Tusker of Hewletchen. A Bahan our Shassa the law her phone of which Yerimich Gulart can in Tofila Keda. The cooked and spirit nave Shinata Portuguese Gorpagus if will Christ. Token Quivna here in the G Dagdash of Foot and Down, Nartis a Cart Nock E. A Quidget and our Bapa Princess Sagas Leonard Naspo, Mihal. Quivni freshen ar winter hena Furbo agus iad súla has sherry glower. Quivni shudilla ta imir stína fearna. Fáte rumpwis jockey solus the glora. Jen throkra orin illa impumijort on his commution of a parchix a bahe hiri. Contu a wallow was a glory quidget in the margin of Willamar J. The ne vaspel agus ne villa in the halter rivenal through the walk Isa Christ. Agus is trí agus leis agus an na hótagach an óras lo gutse I entirely cúta por Elision Spirit name, trí hail the sail. Amen. Agus cuimish con an ahar fui mar a bhúnar slán a hórdúna dhéanú. Session got called Kim Pumijorti here in a Turdun Shia Clanlander and as Kamamish to call the Propra Serum Becky Goni the Slon and the Burch. I should extol good a horror of the Charta Slon of Horror, he's a priest. I hear this priest to do Shledaspel Fogum, she can't agree to him, Dimo here can now faker or backna, I could credit of Daglashet to Shirkan Tigas, anything a killer, Frimmer's Teletain, Toss of Wardens, really in 3 hail the sail. I was Shirkan and Shirna live. As Quirmish know that Gaelic was Shirkan. Seohéún sé seo an téhogan peci an dam is mé a siúda for cuire chun séar anún a hiarna ní fiúméid si go í. A is a credin go bhfuil tú láir gram bhfuil ga cé ní aus is mínam tú lechas teach má anam. Targus bredálta thugam lechmas teach má críos deú agus aontaí me héin go thomlan leat. Ná dé cum scarú leat cuithe. Amen. Since a piece of some delusion just a balcon trocra tan the busky and Doris August a freshman Dinac with the usage na busky by balcon and Donna Shahogan the Kuna J that we have the trocra Lenten collection focuses on getting clean water for people, many people living in Malawi in Africa, and support can be given by the Tropical Lent box to bring it in around Good Friday, the end of Lent, or if you wish, just to support by the collection we'll have next weekend. Small passage there commenting on the homily that was given by Father Bruce Bradley on the funeral mass of John Bruton. Putting in the context of faith, oftentimes say that faith and politics shouldn't go together, but sort of saying that the broad sense of faith that you can't be a politician without having a strong faith. You must be committed to some sort of a cause, whether it's a noble cause or any ignoble. But everyone has faith, whether they believe in God or not. It's part of us, it's a quality we have within that motivates us for good or for bad. Bruce Bradley said these eulogies, understanding and appreciating the Taoiseach's life in the background, against the background of the Christian gospel, which he believed in. Some lovely quotations used as well. I quoted one of them last week. Human beings are the words with which God tells his story. And there was even a quotation there from someone who signed themselves on the online condolence book, who happened to be a Fianna Fáil supporter. So that's crossing bridges on occasions like that. The Lenten prayer, it's in the Diluc there. Might be some copies at the door as well. Talk given for Club Amani at the Barn in the Furbo for over 18s on free substance use workshop, talking about drugs and alcohol, and there's detail of that in the Diluc. And also, as mentioned before, the race night in the Connemara Coast, 15th of March, Barn in the Furbo into soccer. And you can buy a horse that night or before that night, preferably for €10. So it's a bargain. I don't know if it's a Connemara pony or not, but I hope they qualify. Otherwise, we're going out with placards. Take note. And some St. Patrick's Day cards and Easter Mass bouquet cards are in the office. And finally, there's those of you who would have known Martin Willie, there's a lovely memorial card, some copies at the door if you'd like to take one with you. And a lovely verse there. Anish Chachtanari by Enlaw Delashino, Starish, Lefail Breja, or Doime Moshol, or Yes Jake Ron and Delish, Agus Greenish. I hear na Quirin to Bora Lenar Grejif, Agus Lenar Nokus, Os Nartin to Raw, Sukumenak Show, Quidulin Morotal the Rare, Gok and Nabrin to Aspire Hor Christ, around the Baha, Ata, and here na. Three hail the sail. Sgron Shirna live. Gemini Jill Kultushiv, Aharos and Walk, Agus on Spirit Nave. Tantafin Heart, Gajesha Slán.